Maybe a little bit too loud, Tenzin. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome. We'll begin by, if you turn to page 1 in your prayer book. All mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Enums. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom.
Sanje, Shungden, De, Nam, La, Jiao, Su,
Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Maras together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcendent conqueror together with your disciples, please come here to this place.
Jomden Kuraje Nendere Yesu Armade Gube Dube Aloge Gende Nivede Shada Bade
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I've gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Okay, and then to page 11. Namo, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the 3 realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament, the inconceivable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the 5 wisdoms of omniscience. Gracious one, the embodiment of love, precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind, transcendent conqueror, the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teacher of gods and men. I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of 2-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth, you proclaimed, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise even then, I prostrate. Possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent. An ocean of primordial wisdom, you are like a golden mountain, the one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment. To you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon, to you, the one with a complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you among the 3 levels of existence is most exquisite. Unparalleled, omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one thus gone who severs the all-binding fetters, who with senses pacified is utterly pacified and skilled in peace. To that one, the one who dwelled at Sravasti, I prostrate. Refuge endowed with great compassion, totally omniscient one who indicates the way, ground bases of oceans of merit and qualities, I prostrate to the one thus gone. The pure cause free from attachments, the virtue that liberates from the lower realms, the altogether supreme ultimate truth. To the pacifying Dharma I prostrate. Having been liberated, they also reveal the path to liberation. Thoroughly respectful of the three higher trainings, they are a field of sublime qualities. To the Sangha I also prostrate. And to page 9.
Namo Nase Nanda Ke Lama La Nase Shigye Sun Chopa Ankam So Yondora De Sowa De Kurwa Tonto Se Chenje Lo Aje Ye Norva Soke Masa Jome Jawe To Anjembe Yeshe Ngata Den Seve Tani Kade Shen Jemse Rembo Che Dasem Ye Jengane Sorwa De Chönye Jengande Shenje Lo Samdone Jeme Lambda De Alonde Chuka Topa Shenje Lo Jon Dende Tishen Shekpa Ada Jomba Yang Tabara Zobe Sanje Rekwa Dai Xiaosen Denba Adewara Shekpa Jeden Jemba Jiwen Dewa Ankalo Jorwa Lana Meba Lata Me Namje Tongba Yami Shai Che Jarboy Shai Che De Jema Meba La Angu Rada To De Kube Chansa Lo Kanze Kanye Sovo Shudan Se Sajan Del Adingorane Hane Jeden Denai Joje Son Teden Kepa Chela Chanse
Namda
Nai Jode Susan Wai Ye Janso Serge Lumbonja Drakpa Jiden Somna Lanyewa Gombo Chonye Chela Chansalo Linjo Dangpa Jemen Tabe Sendon Dawa Chela Chansalo Adere Chudre Seba Sonanze Nyame Jen Chela Chansalo Mejo Nuwa Kalo Junzen Kunjora Jinwa Junze Techen Wangpo Zhen Yuse Selake Yen Ro Shupa Tadai Chansalo Gombo Tuje Chedemba Tamje Jembe Tomba Po Sonai Yonde Janso Shen
Doshe Shekla
Chanzelo Dabe Doja Jevekyu Geve Ganson Ledor Shen Jeda Tondai Chojoro Shejoro Chola Chanselo Role Tove Lanyan La Pa Da Rante Shenge Tamba Yonde
Okay, then to page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjusri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appeared during the 3 times. I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The force of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom, there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmatatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas. With the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointments, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense, I make offerings to the victorious ones. With the finest cloth, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways, I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious ones. Whatever negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the Bodhisattvas, the Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who, passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together, those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment. And then to page 16, page 15, page 14. Okay.
Baba in Jambara Shana Jurbala Chansalo Jine Sodai Chuchu Jitana Nyanduzon Yekba Meye Senge Dage Malu Teta Tamjela Ale Dang Aye Dang Chanje O Sambo Jube Molan Dodai Ke Enyarwa Tamje Yije Moson De Zenge Dunye Lura Dubai Enyarwa Gular Rabde Chanselo Tena Dunye Sanje Na Sanje Sike Unai Yopada Dedai Chuje Yenai Malapa Damje Yarwa Dake Onwaramu Dedai Ngopai Meze Janso Na Ayanje Yanla Janso Dagunje Yarwa Gunje Yanten Rajo Jin Devara Yeba Tamje Dake Do Meto Tamba Chinwa Tamba Tong Asinye Nandai Juba Donjo Tong Mame chodan dupa tamba ye Jawa de dalane chopar je Naza tamba namdan je chodan Achema karme rawa nyamba tan Koba jeba pape chokunje Jawa de dalayan chopar je Chopa kana lame jachewa Adeda jawa tamche layamo Sambo chula tebe todaki Jawa kuna chakse chopar jen doja
Dante mo
wange ne de ba da ge ji ba ji ji ba de da tam ji da ge so so ya a chu ju ja wa kun dan san ji se ran ja dam dam lo dam lo dam an do wa kun ji so na kan ga yang da kunje jesu da yeran kana chuje jeden romata chanjurun bar sanje machani gombo de da ke tamje kolo lana me pa kurwa Daton kanye de da Drowa kula penshin de weche Gyapa shenge dunye shupaya Dagye tamo raja sowarje Chantse wadai chuchin shopadan Jesu yerai koshin sowa ye Egewa shunze dage chizaba Tamche sobe chancho shembu.
And to page 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Tende dombe chuje chorombe bo sembrando wa tamje de ye shen namo le ala ye ge don lo don le ji ge dong da da mi ge nam do gen je da ge je dong bo dam je ge de da ge ju de do. Good morning. Good morning. Ta tiền được chế tăng ở chỗ đó chu ở đó những cái nào đấy thế này ta nhằm lên chế cái nào đấy tiền được thế này ta做chế hiệu thì ngã chỗ cung long ra là rõ lệ đi ở đấy.
So then, when it comes to the practice of the Dharma, listening to the Dharma, studying the Dharma, and so forth, one of the most important things is that we have the proper motivation. This is one of the key essential things.
어디 이제 다 가르치는 양아서 다 추집이게 그 유рем게 나라 가르치나 되게 양 삼삼 지 추치야라 레라오요와 그러와 대단 데베토네 지 가르치고다 지 좋아요와 텐데지 연구요레스.
So then, sometimes when it comes to going through the different stages of Dharma practice and we engage with the Dharma, it is really easy. And at those times, we're really happy and we really rejoice and delight in engaging with the Dharma.
양 삼상 가서 다지 추치비 그 qabla tene 양 조 가르치나 그 컨디션로와 tene 지지 양 그 주치야라 가르쳐거래다 돈나 대자매와 당양 지 존주주매야라 대자매와 텐디 연구요레스.
And then sometimes when we engage with the Dharma, depending on different conditions, we might not have as strong of an interest, and we might not really be diligent and persevere with our practice.
다디 가르치는 디펜스 가르쳐야 되거든. 당연히 콘티유나 이래. 지 꾸롱 담보네 추 년백가베나래 추 제백가베나래 지 꾸롱 넘버 타바 테니지 유비나 테니지 추 지비케 다 유렘나라 디스카니 티비나야 고 가르쳐고래 고 맞아 터슬라고다 젠스라와 젠년바테 초스저바들이 되네요 고지 강이 TV나야 강이 디게 줄레 때네 되네요 조치야게 되네 추그 팽교요 하코야 다 되네지 추래 이제 말은로야 되네 연구요래 스티네다디 고 디펜스 꾸노라레요레스.
So then, how we respond to these situations when the Dharma is harder to practice, and when we meet with these various conditions, really depends on what our motivation is at the beginning. And so, if our motivation at the beginning to listen to the Dharma teachings, to practice the Dharma teachings, if it's pure and authentic and sincere, then when we meet with different misfortunate circumstances and different unfavorable conditions, then of course they are, can be difficult, but we can also do what is called befriending unfavorable conditions. There is this phrase in Tibetan that means befriending unfavorable conditions. And when we take these unfavorable conditions onto the path and continue to practice the Dharma, if we really have a pure motivation, then we will respond by, practicing the Dharma. And if we can get through these situations and continue to practice, then this serves to help us, and our faith and our trust and confidence in the teachings grows like never before. And so really, this depends, though, on our motivation, if we have a real, sincere motivation or not.
어때 대가 나기겠다. 당기 공휴바 나기에 이제 꿀롱 대양 되네. 꿀롱 넘버 타바 랍데다. 참랭 어서 조 갈세나 다디 개침보래 갈세도 제 제탕 추치야 될라 가리키치들이 있으나 다 맞서지 내 갑장 많이 베게 타르토기 내시토비아지 차도 여러와 대 타르토기 내시토비아디 되네 다 내시 마토비아게 고짜위게 갈세고가다 obstacle 세나리 각사디 고랑 제번 짐바 랑 다든 짐바 Thinley le tene tene yungu yores ti indu tene ta nga so ti kulong zidu chi number thaba labdu chi ran chi bu chi tu mayin ba hen se ya tela tene chi hen uni su reality nga so ti nga chang so dewan dong ge nga dewan dong ge ko dewan dong ge mo dewan dong ge chang ra天对呢，提古龙提，这哈可为呢，天开始呢，可这谈空体育那一类，这 biggest obstacle，让经济的开来，这是呢，它 diminish 在那里，看到，它这是牛路个嘞是，提让大基本上基本提个这牛路周围，特了点呢，天呢，这开始个嘞。대화 대외 기초 로와 틀레테네 그 increasing 차기 요레스 다 벤나 테르와 노단데
So then, when we talk about having a completely pure motivation, the most important thing here is that when we engage with the Dharma, relatively, temporarily, and we are not just trying to, attain kind of relative happiness, but we want to engage with the Dharma to accomplish ultimate happiness. And the main thing here is that to accomplish ultimate happiness, to accomplish enlightenment and so forth, there are various things that can get in the way and obstruct that process of us attaining that. And so the biggest obstacle, the biggest thing that gets in the way of us reaching that ultimate happiness is our self-clinging, is cherishing ourself, having selfishness. And so this is what we want to overcome. And so a completely pure motivation goes beyond that. With a completely pure motivation, we realize that it's not just us. We aren't the only ones that want happiness and want to be free from suffering. In fact, all sentient beings throughout the universe, everyone wants happiness, ultimately wants happiness, wants to be free from suffering. And so recognizing this, then our motivation expands beyond just wanting, to hold on to our own selfish, kind of thoughts and this self-cherishing. And so if we can get beyond this selfish motivation, which is our biggest obstacle, then we can reach a place where we can grow beyond it and finally reach a greater state of happiness.
我在听的我做 questioning 了，什么当过的是听的，他给空气问当的，他参谋了让经济有的，是吧？现在经济缺求有的，现在样的，上级军队的给去开送有的是哪位呢？但呢，这上级军队的给送下就缺的了，但呢，这变得实际到了实现的，来不到了，我也告诉的呢，大气去送了啊，我的大气去过来也是，但我这边的这我确实说。让经济起来的呢，东西有的是老的，这是个来看不着啊。看的是的，我了呗，结婚子呢，他呢也不吃个的，我了呗，当时小全部去呢，他呢就吃个的上边，我那里路这个让我做 habit， 手机空的有了我的，是的。第二个我大气没劲呢，这是个来看不着，我让经济动了呢。他我 take care 起头上买的什么落这个哇，上面那个他我什么买他的呢，我开起个他，但天天他打起去呢，他还哭个哇，本来基本人民高了，经济小全部又被高了，天天开始用个多，是吧？留言被那里，生命那里。这个呢，一个可以看的是通个的，是吧？什么当过是吧？可以可能卡的别的 ，environment 可能卡的。经济有被高，经济没被高了。但呢，他经济有被高了，卡的用个都是哪样吧？但呢。留当三当可留，但呢，养着经济没为，他经济没为是哪？我经济起居们都，俺前边起个都上面路又被高了，前边起被高了，让个路看的是用个多，三看的是用个多，这三怎么有呢？起油看的是多，是吧？起油了样一万多当兵呢，大看的是多，是吧？本来油看的是通个多，这可能看的是苦个多。我他提，我说能把上级别给他出其他的，我听你讲的起过个的是。
So here, when we think about this. We might kind of question this a little bit, and wonder because everybody really regards themselves with cherishing, or a lot of people do. It's common to really think, I love myself. I want to care for myself, or maybe we have some version that looks like the opposite, but we're obsessed with ourselves. And so we might wonder, what is this Buddha's teaching? The transcendent victor, conquering Buddha, Bhagavan taught that, we should get over self-cherishing. So we might wonder, what is this? And we should recognize that the Buddha also taught that we shouldn't just take his teachings for granted. But we should investigate them and really, determine their true value and worth. And so we might wonder again with this, kind of having some selfishness. Some people might think, well, selfishness is kind of good and important. If I don't help myself, who's going to help me? If I don't look out for number one, nobody else is going to do me any favors. And so people, have this kind of attitude and, think, if I don't take care of myself, who's going to take care of me? And this is very common. And so, still though, we should look more closely at this. When we have this selfish attitude of, cherishing ourselves above all, how do we feel? When we have a selfish mindset, how do we feel in our body? How do we feel in our mind? How do we see when we're feeling selfish? What does the outer world look like? And what does our environment look like? And then on the other hand, when we don't have selfish clinging, when we're thinking of, oh, what can I do to help others? And when we have love for others, how do we feel in our body? How do we feel in our mind? How do we, regard the outer environment? What's going on in our mind when we're thinking, oh, I want to just help everyone as much as I can? What, our so-called enemies, how do we think about enemies at that state? In that state? How do we think about the world? And so, how does this, what happens there?
어디 다 하고 그래. 가르세나 단지 된디 나라 즉 베나 템포러리 게 대화세나리 드니지 총국이요나 되네 가르고고요래 라비나 되네 단지 직된데 지고 말에 직된 치매 주도비나 가리나 오 로충충 되네 허티 톱 챔보요와 다 드니지 아주 삼모당 요래스.
So, so if we think of, something we should understand. So, if we look around in this world, and not just here, but, thinking kind of, even beyond just this life, but what in general looks like temporary happiness, what people regard as, kind of temporarily desirable is, people want to have youth, and they want to be healthy, they want to be strong, and have, all those kind of qualities.
Tati indu ko tati race money race ko relative level inare automate inati re dembares ro.
So, on a relative level, all these things, are nice.
다 가서디 레 다 삼노 당도 다 간데스데 당기리 다 진지 요베까블라 초랑 healthy younger stronger 이도와 당지 메베까블라 테네 다지 stronger healthy younger 테네도 다 가서 다시 지그랬어.
So, we can think about these things though. So, if we have a lot of selfishness and self-cherishing and clinging, how does it look when we are seeking to be younger, healthier, stronger? And then, on the other hand, how does it look, when we don't have a lot of self-clinging and we still kind of experience, youthfulness, healthiness, strength? Is there a difference?
So you have to analyze, right? 야다디 제삼노 당그레스 나세야 다 진지세야 다세야 나세야 대지구디 그 지랑지가 와 제마도 요 말이사 only single 와 그다 네바 되니 제마도 요 말nga 세디 답배 통제 중중 샘 중중 또 중중 찍마도 요 말와 배는 가서 그 심자 첨부 직 배는 가서 심자 담지 or mother 생체민이라고 이내야 강다야 직자 첨부 직지나 되네 그 로또 배 첨부레스 되네 느파 첨부레스 much stronger.
So, For example, if we really think about this, when we think about an I, a me, our ego, ourself, if we just are thinking about ourselves, it's one thing. It's one little thing in the great universe of all, anything out there. Just the I, the me, we're just like this really, really small thing. On the other hand, if we think about all sentient beings throughout the entire universe and all the different states and all realities, that's huge. That's like suddenly now we're talking about a vast, incredible mind. And if we're talking about, these in terms of power and strength, when we focus on ourselves, that's just like a little tiny, little weak thought. It's just very, very small. But then when we think about all mother sentient beings throughout the entire universe, that's huge. The mind becomes really powerful.
Well, that is a small example. Pena nga nagdo something, ta nga nabarawa. Nga nawe kawla, ta pecha sumbu shure ta, pe nga nagi yore, something ta focus tegarang ta di nasa na nga gagi mendo, na gogi mendo, yabo cha gogi do, something tije chidi, ko karsena nasa cha na da marana. No matter your small problems, always the yours, that's the problem jitala. Tigang stuck. 차대기 요레스. 티인데 티가나기 게다 nga jibu yimbe kabla jinzi tiki tini yu changma kakares yudusu tene yudusu beda yude chungchungju mato 통고요 말레스. peche nga nasi yuji mato yo 말로 배 chungchungjer다.
So then, for one example, it can happen that, some of us, we think when we become sick, then we, have this extreme focus on it. And we think, oh, I'm sick, I'm not feeling good, this terrible thing, is happening to me. I got to do whatever I can do to get rid of this sickness. Will I get better? Will I won't not get better? And we can just spend all this time getting stuck in this problem, thinking about our sickness, our illness. And when we are stuck in that kind of, thought process and that kind of thought loop, then when we look around at the world, it's very small because we're, focused so much just on this individual problem and issue. And so we can't, we can barely see anything outside of that.
Maybe able to see just 10 by 10. Yina ya ta nga so chi kesi nagi yore, yina na na rawa, ta nagi yo na ko ndama rawa, ka nge ji the yo ta sem. Kari ka nge the yo na rawa, nagi yo na re, semje yo na re, kari yo bre yina. Ta ti chi nga na re, nga nagi yore, nga ka nge yore, thangbo rawa ti, thangbo ti ko chi. Remember chingende the chadi wata. Yina yang chik ja chenpo chik de zambuling na la chik da da pena not all sentient beings. In pen human being chik bor zam no ji tang bi na. Na ke nga chik bo marwa khase yor peta. So yina pena mandi na la khase yor da melan. Tungjo khase yor na ti na la mana ga kan che yo ma da ri. Lo chena na gore chona na gore ro gengo ina na gore ko de chuni ro jadang sanji jum den de songdo ko pena mando cha hya we na jewe kangye yore nawe kangye yore gewe kangye yore hebe kangye yore te kangye de ko yo ba tinde je ki ji ha ko be na ta tangi ni na sa te not big deal ro o ta te rangji re sha sta ko nga na do konsola na gi do tene ko naya de ko rangiri mato be ke ji manaya ke ji escape chindo sa ji mewa ha ko na tene ji ta khata ji supu dis na go lu dik de no ji go ta tan de go re tene ti thola yang ta nga su nyamlen chinge pe na if the practitioner side do some tang be na tene nga su ninge je ya yo ba o nga na gi do samba ji ro nga na du chu men do hen na chu yo ma ro nga du nge yo re yin na de chu men do yin nga ji bu ma re pa jo la du nge yo ba o tin tene 다 텐리 개토네 나도 장조 스미 기념내 지야 텐리 용기도 테네 다 남의 요리스 냠지야
So instead, though, there's ways that we can, go beyond just this limited mind state. And so, even though we might, get sick, it happens that we can get sick, or we can look at other problems that arise in life. These things happen. We might, have problems. We might have anxiety or worry or stress and all these different things. Still, when we experience these difficulties in life, we should think about how many people, not even thinking about all sentient beings, if we just even think about humans in the world, and if we, take this example of illness or suffering, or, illness or sickness, how many millions of people out there in the world are sick right now? How many, basically billions of people get sick? If we look at sickness, it's not something that's, limited to just, older people or a certain type of, individual. Old people get sick, young people get sick. And
everybody's sick then that's big deal.
The transcendent Victor, the Buddha, taught that everyone in the human realm experiences some version of the sufferings of birth, old age, sickness, and death. And so when we think about this, and we, think about the context of, sure, maybe we do get sick, and then that's not desirable at all. But if and when we get sick, we're just one out of literally billions of humans. Not even all sentient beings, but just one out of billions of humans that get sick. And so then it's not quite as big of a deal. Of course we get sick, but it's something that just happens to, basically all of us. And so then in addition to that kind of mind training, then to take the practice to another level, then we can think about how, just in the same way that I experienced the difficulty of sickness, also other sentient beings, other humans and so forth, they also experience, sickness. And when we think about that, then we can have a compassionate wish to, want to free them from suffering, just as we would wish to be free from that suffering. So in this way, we can transform this into the practice of compassion.
Then furthermore, that real, really nyamlen tinga yimbi na. Then jik kanye ti, la then trawa jik doa pena. Yabo chung song samba jik, rawa. Da te kandangi kontuwa na yere, da jinzi chung do ne, hempen somno tangbe kala, tangi teta, basically stronger, younger energy tene chagi ores.
So if we are really practitioners, then we can get to the point where when we experience sickness, not only are we able to take it onto the path and train to go beyond just our own selfish kind of perspective, but we can even rejoice in getting sick. And we can think, oh good, I got sick. Now, now I really
Cautioning,
have,
right?
now I have a reason to go beyond my self-clinging. Now I have a reminder to expand my mind so that my wish to benefit others becomes stronger, more youthful, more powerful, and so forth.
어다티 다 통다디 지수밀레 송거와 셴벤 담지 랑데주 스노다 뭐네 지 셴벤 요나 티네 대화 토비아다 후하스 술이 요위나다 텔라티네 고 대화 토비오레스 티네 당가서 뭐네 지 삼노당비나 맞좀 도바텔라 대반 도구 요거테 도바 도구 요바텔라 테네 당가서 대화 드롭 토비오레스라와 대화대야 고나비야 땡한테 대화 드롭 토비오레스 테니 당가 당기 콘트 요나 이래 랑 제번 짐비케 토네 나서 대화던 도그리라와 이나 대반 도그리히나 고 드루비아티 가르잖아 고 등에 드롭 되고 와라 어텐드네 고 대화 토비야 요 말이스 베네테송도와 the word perfect teacher 차미 라가 액세스도 되네 현도당 라글레 친칠로도 줘봐스 대가 나기 되네 람로 고모스 줘봐스 람로과 그러와 다 람로과지디 되네 가르선디 perna hartendo wala nobt chona katedas ta ji hartendo ya ko destination harin bina ya kondoya da noble no go wa ko ndobate khare nga harte koran ha ko go re nga hal le budo some destination de read yine ya kondoya de ko noble ndo de be kabla ko tangi lepsa de ko ta ren re ma ta nyen ro go ma wa tenagi ko doya ke dewaji ndo go re thina ko dobya de ko do ma hi de ko 동이 chercher ma yo ma wa
So the master Milarepa taught that really when we wish to benefit others and when we work to benefit others, ultimately this is helping ourselves. You know, we are, you know, fulfilling our own wishes. And this is because, you know, ultimately, we all want to be happy. You know, this is kind of a deeper wish for all sentient beings. But we don't really know how to obtain that happiness all the time. And so, when we are thinking about, you know, what can we get? How, you know, how can we do this thing for ourselves that we cherish? Then when we act from that perspective, even though we want to help ourselves, we don't get that. We don't receive any type of happiness from that. On the other hand, and we actually suffer more and more the more selfish we get. On the other hand, if we you know, strive to benefit others and we open our, you know, perspective and minds to that, then we can accomplish true happiness. And so it's said in the Words My Perfect Teacher by Patrul Rinpoche, you know, for others, they wish to, and so this was taught by Karma Chagme Raga Asya, and so you can look up the actual quote. But the essential meaning is that, you know, people want to, you know, fulfill their desire for happiness and so forth, but then they do the absolute opposite. And instead of fulfilling their own goals, then they do, you know, something, you know, they go in the other direction. And so this is like, you know, somebody who sets out to travel east, and they think, okay, I'm going to go east, I want to go east. But then when they get on the highway, they're facing the other direction, and they start heading west. And so even though in their mind they're like, oh yeah, I'm going east, you know, gonna meet the sunrise, really they're headed further and further away from their goal. And so this is what sentient beings do. Even though sentient beings desire happiness, when they act out of selfishness, they go further and further from their own goal.
我在听的印度，他当波的哈口呀，他我做考试过的这我做长嘛来堂、马兰堂，他来堂马兰做的，这他来的，可钱的样子吧，有这个，因那样在前面个，这个来做来堂，马兰做起吧了，但呢，他这我做南巴上几边个。추 체버래 다 추치 있으려 가르리 세비나 지타나가 저 토상금솜 제약 고카비오와 지시 유유와 진경게 이제 강사요와 어? 다 디나네야 진 초도 줄바 가르세나고 지 대송버래 되네 요나 티초스 메나 탑차 송도아 어티인도 간단디 냠len 치비나 고체지 루지라 상제토야 람 마노르바테 나서다 고조고레 베나 온로다 당원에 지나 단다디 지 로도 넘바 히니 야보 지 나서 하코비나 테네 원에 지나 나서다 당이 콘티바나 디렉션 다 노리오 말에 공가서 샤든 로아이나 샤든 로그어다 그러봐 당가 힌 조본 로그지리 스피딩 가히 갈래 로그지리 얘네야 고 샤든 로그어라 봐 어떻게 돼 맞다 자체 모임 봐 선모당 로그어레스
So understanding this, then for all of us, everything that we do and through our karma and our aspirations creates the experience in this life and in future lifetimes. And in particular, we have this opportunity to connect with the Dharma teachings, the Buddhist teachings of the Buddha, and we can listen to and study those teachings, contemplate those teachings, meditate upon those teachings, and we have the opportunity to really, put them into practice and to really apply them. And if we really put them into practice, then, the best kinds of things can happen to us. This is really the best situation. There is this saying, if you have it, it is the best, it is supreme. If you don't have it, well, you don't have anything. And
maybe not good luck. Yeah, also English interesting, right?
Well, yeah, it's actually an interesting phrase. If you have it, it's the best, it's supreme. If you don't have it, it's kind of like it means it's like you're busted. Yeah, your situation is in shambles. So it's not even good luck. If you don't have the Dharma, if you don't know what is virtue and non-virtue, then it's not good. So continuing with Drupon's translation, so how do we, make the most of our situation? For now, this lifetime and future lifetimes, it is through entering the Dharma. And so how do we enter the Dharma authentically, in the right way? it is through these preliminary practices, the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. And when we really have the correct motivation, through contemplating the precious human life with its freedoms and advantages, death and impermanence, karma, cause and effect, and the defects or sufferings of cyclic existence, when we meditate upon these and really take them to heart, then this allows us to practice the Dharma and head in the right direction. So if we are saying, I want to go east, when we have the 4 thoughts that turn the mind and enter the Dharma with that perspective.
All the preliminaries.
And also all the other preliminaries of refuge, Vajrasattva, Mandala, Guru Yoga, then this allows us, this sets us on the highway heading east. It's our, I want to make an analogy, GPS system, no, but it sets us in the right direction. So then once we are on the right path, then it's up to us. For some of us, we will go kind of more slow. And some of us might be able to travel more fast down the path. But at the very least, when we practice the preliminaries and have this understanding on the path, then we will go in the right direction.
That thing we have, good thing is, karmic connections. I think we past life, maybe they really good job, so we have aspirational prayers. There is enough karma to born in, Metta Dharma, and born in the human beings. So I think that's what we appreciate and grateful. And then also we have to keep going, We're thinking about past is past, life done, but now in the present, if we really do something, so because of the next life, so I think, so I saying this, appreciate ourselves, past life, but also same time, we thinking future. So, tiene tatiga na yite da. Ta nga su chu chi zi ta tangi kontu na yide lo do na ma ye. Ta ti ya chu chi zi du ta na gambo ba song do wa. Komba ma yi. Komba yi song le da. Nga zo le kumji ji jo do wa. Hina yabo ina kumji ji jo go re. Ra. Dubo ina kumji ji jo go re. Ra. 단단가 좀 점벌링디 나라야 무생년도 고마장년도 다 가르세 거지 간디직들라 그 지에비 까블라 드니지 고무두고지 지에요 말에 코로나 environment condition 좀 센들레 때네 되네 고마보지 콤바레 대 콤송도 그 누구지 누구니지 누구솜치디 되네 콤로고요 래 Pena Tinidwa, Pena Kumachi Jamanu, Kumaji Jana, Pehansanko Hegiorwa, Hegiore. Yinaya, Kota, Kumaji Ni Ja Sonjitini, Ko Komsareta, Kumaja, Hena Yomareko. What I think Nembecho Tinidwa. Ta Sambocho no in a Sambo Chisina, Konimajeke, Sambochara Yomare. Komgo, Jeko, Niko. Tegana Yeko, Nimajila, practitioner, Chaya Yomare. 그 콤네 손에 되네 practitioner 차도 그거래서.
So then, for the practice of the Dharma, then we really need to familiarize ourselves well with Dharma practice and Dharma activity. So, Gampopa taught it's not Gompa, which means meditation, but it is Kompa, which means familiarization.
That I think Likabertela was to gombaji dodoji tak ste gombare la tegana yi ra de ya roji yo mares ro gombaji ko dodoji te ne opera lama doji de gomre la te ya yo mares dodoji yo mares immediately teletni doji yo mares.
So, to explain this a little bit further, if we receive a teaching from, a lama, and it's a teaching on a certain meditation, we might think, okay, I'm going to meditate on this, and then as I meditate on this, I'm going to experience the result. Here we go. Meditation, where's the fruit? Where's the fruition? It doesn't work that way. And what we need to do is really train ourselves to familiarize ourselves with practice again and again so it becomes a part of us. So if we look at familiarization, what we become familiar with, what we habituate, that can work both ways. It can work that we familiarize ourselves with good things. It can also be bad things too. In the world, people don't always do good things. There's people out there that, kill. There's killers. And there are people out there that steal. They're thieves and so forth. And so, for example, with killers, it's not that, somebody usually just like wakes up one day and says, I'm going to be a killer. It's through...
Or born with, no matter.
Yeah, that they are born, natural born killer.
Maybe the related karma, but...
Maybe in rare circumstances, there's somebody born with that karma and they might be a natural born killer. But there's a movie about that. But also, in general, it's the environment that people grow up in. And if people grow up in a really harsh, challenging environment, then it might lead them to kill others. And so for a killer, somebody who engages in mass murder and killing, or it becomes assassin or that type of thing, generally it's not somebody, somebody doesn't just become that overnight. The first time that they do it, it's can be very hard. But then if they keep doing it, the second time it becomes easier, and the third time and so forth. And then eventually they become like a killer or a mass murderer or something. The same with stealing. For people who steal something, maybe the first time they stole something, it was like terrifying, and they were really afraid that they would get caught and so forth. But then eventually, after they kept stealing, it got easier and easier, so that later they just steal without even thinking about it. And so this is the bad direction of familiarizing, bad, negative actions. It also works in the good direction of doing positive things. And so in the beginning, it's hard to do virtuous activities and to practice the Dharma. It takes effort. We really have to, think about it, to be a good person and to practice. But eventually, if we keep familiarizing ourselves with, good habits and so forth, then eventually it becomes a part of us.
That moment, the Tundro Latin redo. Tundro animals too.
So, also animals too.
Teledoa nga todan di da changchobling nga tandro wa dradon. The dradon ro du tene pe de anegumba tila tene da de shavek buk chungjung je tene rado ko ji chungjung hansa tene ama tuina da ama koran heina tene ama yosamarwa. Tene konsoda tanda de nga to 정원은 부집에 심중라 tene ko garden pe yagoyores tel hayores homate.
So at Changchu Bling in Dehradun in India, near this the nunnery, there was this little deer, and
I think just born or something like that.
yeah, kind of this baby deer, and the mother was nowhere to be found. Maybe something happened to the mother, and so Chetsang Rinpoche, His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche, saw this and made sure that that deer had a special garden.
Your Holiness place.
He took the deer to his special, garden so that the baby deer had, a special place to be.
Tatiya kotai chimbos chayores.
So then that little baby deer grew up.
Right. So this interesting thing is, so then he just in the garden, he's just jumping and just ran away and like this. But finally, this coming to the person. So normal deer, yes, of course they ran away, just jump. He can jump, he can run everywhere, just. But then, eventually, come back to human being. And first they grow up 1 month long, and then sometimes the now can jump. Interesting is, so he jumped the fence, and then he come to the monk's room. Even door, otherwise he ran away, just empty place. But no, kind of how they grow up, how familiar, So the different other deer, that 인디다 가서 금지 세야 돼. 대차대도와 되래. 다 대가 나이다 가서 금지 차도 좋은 냠내래. 다 드링에디 라비아직 대인데 다 가서 제타 로컬마지 기나 가서 다 마누드프체 추구요레스.
So this is, how familiarization happens. And so right now, one of the most important things for us is to, practice. And one thing that is coming up, basically in the next month, is we are going to begin the money Drupchen, the Om Mani Padme Hum Chenrezi Drupchen.
당가서 뱉는 종어 창조블링도 some 당비나다 다 지용차네 다 니요가 every Sunday 요래 되네 다 삼삼 가서 되네 라마덴데 휴 가초 난게 요래 다 이제타 테미 윈다 가 요베 갑라다 고 every Sunday 라 되네 가서 가초 난게 요래 이미나야다 지 케체쇼 세나레 달라 롱코마제 키나라 가서 winter teaching 다 되네 대가 나이다 마누드프첸데 고 케체무츠데 요레스.
So then, at Drongmer Changchu Pling here, there are teachings every Sunday. Every Sunday that Drupon is here, he gives teachings, and then other lamas and teachers and so forth, they come and teach as well on Sundays. And so there are these important regular teaching events. But then throughout the year, there are a couple times that are these really special, important occasions. One is like the winter teachings, and then one in particular, the other is the Mani Drupchen practice.
다 단기 공티와 나이래 나서다 콤바세야지 다 콤고요래 다 콤야디 다 나서 직배나 높초발라 세나레 다 지금 가서 lay people 세나레 들라 직다 갈세거래 직 콤바나기다 대가나기 직다 로숨 추숨로 텐데 다 참말로 이미나 디스칼레 가보러와 리디 이내야다 그 두주 퉁퉁지 그 나라 when 24 hours 냠내치야요 다 드롭첸데 백해chen 버리스 만는 드롭첸 다 디기 갈스나 든데 이제 고다 니난 챤라 냠래 치나 되네 다 화샤지 딱 뭐네 샘기 줄 때는 향으로 요랬다 냠르지 공바 로와 되네 지 뭐네 거란지 갈래다 된대 지 냠래 치나로와 지 주수직이 냠래 지원으로 차대요 말이스 되네 지 뭐네 전에 지 포커스 치는 냠래 치비나 되네 지 갈색은 가서다 지 왕당도 되요와 탐색 선바당 이게 선반 제 송도 왔다 듣나 이게 전에 지금 가서 제네서 곰네 제네서도 nga 빼네 day and night 지 로비나 전에 지금 뭐니 제네서 그 투주 그러와 제네서 됐더니 랑게데 샘 히데바리 그 닝보 대당 전에 제네서 이게다 톡 닝지 전부터 전에 됐는 제가 요르다 그러와 열매 받쳐 요르스 와다 테인도 테네 다데 벤데 개체모 쇼레스
So we're talking about establishing, these habitual patterns and familiarizing ourselves with practice. And this happens over time. And so with the Chenrezi, Mani Drupchen practice, if we continue to do this, one of the aspects of the practice is where we meditate that the visualized, our visualized, it's called the commitment being, invokes and merges with the primordial wisdom nature of Chenrezi. And we do this day and night. And so we, invoke the enlightened mind stream of the enlightened bodhisattva, Chenrezi, to dissolve inseparably with us. And we, practice in this way. I think, one thing, I actually didn't say this earlier part. In the West, for lay people, to do this type of familiarization, in the East, there's, things like 3-year meditation retreat and so forth. But here, we don't always have that much time. But we do have the opportunity to do what is called a Drupchen, a great accomplishment practice, where we practice 24 hours a day, day and night. And so in this way, when we train around the clock to merge our mind stream with and merge our own, connecting with our own Buddha nature, with the enlightened mind stream of Chenrezi, then we can become inseparable, and we establish this, we become familiar with this, pattern of, merging with the enlightened mind stream of Chenrezi.
어디 인도네 다 달로 나오섬도 땅비나 되네 땅아서디 달로 말에 다 제땅아서 should be 다 고야제 로고야 로지 레스 로레 야르 땅아서 familiar 베나 당본도 있는 거죠 나지 보소야라 되네 나티겐 당야고 신기요 말에 되네 깔레카고 요러와 인다 맘보지 로맘보지라 되네 Drupchen di yore tene nga to so khande logo yo ba ko yore yes.
So in this way, this year is an opportunity for us to get even more familiar with the practice. And so the Chenrezi Drupchen is something to really strive to do year after year, time after time, to get better and better and better. So, the practice really deepens as we get more familiar with it. And, the mantra, for example, is one thing, but it's not just the mantra, it's the whole practice, all the different stages of practice. But, for example, with the mantra, in the beginning, the melody is kind of difficult and, kind of hard, but then you see as you become more and more familiar with it, then you learn the mantra, you learn the melody, and then you can focus more on the other deeper aspects of practice. And so practice grows.
제가 나이다 달로 가서더니 지 라마 힘바 되네 단다 가서 캠모레 되네 아내레 더솔라더네 다 된대 효야라고 되네 지금요 스탠드데 양지다 레로 민도스 카스나 뭐 참말라 스케줄에 지 요도 양지 상가시네 스케줄 지금야라고 지 민도스네 양 되네 다도 라마다 안케 아내다 또 망보 용약 답이 지금요스.
So, this year, we have invited other lamas and kemos and nuns and so forth. It's a little difficult because everybody has their different individual schedules and commitments and so forth. But we are, Dronger is working on, inviting, some of these other Anis and Kemos and other lamas too.
어다 데레다 단단다 가서 온도 다 지레 되네다 점도 다 가서 자 가정데 호타니 만데 차상 차버레 스테네다 지레 가서 데다 점도 고주야 되니지 다들 체대요레스.
So then, now we have, in terms of the preliminary teachings that are part of this Fivefold Mahamudra path, we have gone through the 4 thoughts that turn to mind. And so now, those are the common preliminaries. And then for the uncommon preliminaries, now we are beginning going for refuge, the first of those 4.
That tell me not today.
So that will be coming up.
Okay. So then, so if you have some questions and comments.
Is it Michael asks, beyond self-grasping, is there deeper self? Beyond self-grasping, is there deeper self, is the question Michael asks.
Is there a deeper self beyond self-grasping?
Mm-hmm.
The Dakzin le de Dak Shantra Yoruba.
Ale subgrass mai ba da himba yorwes. Rebe.
De Drupon.
레다 당지 세야디 코코 다지 뭐 요마와. 이네 코 당지 체중 요르와. 체중 요레스와. 가히다 항상하게 당지 요르와. 라마도 네 당기라. Also I forget before. Environment change 요레스와. 당기라 임바. 당가히 다 장냐레스코 다 데코랑 가와토나 다 장냐마도 요마르스코 가와로나지. 유토나 다 나지 고도 선반로제다 텐데레스. 양가히 당지 요래 되네 하고 되니 전부 요 말와 마도 어비게 전바 지중 요래 있으나다 당지 게마도 요 말이스.
So, ultimately, it is self-grasping that creates the experience of a self. So, on the deepest level, to have any experience as a self, there is some self-grasping. That being said, there are many different levels of the experience of self-grasping. for some people, due to certain circumstances, it really almost seems like they don't have, self-grasping when they walk around, depending on.
No,
their-
some there was sorry. 항상 흉침보 요리스.
Oh, Shukchampo. Oh,
흉침보 요리. 그 유인통나 거나 다리스 그 유트 다랑 또 요 말이스. 가완로 가와통 가른통나 다랑 하면서.
oh, okay. Okay, excuse me. So for some people, all they experience is self-grasping. They don't see anything outside of themselves. When they look at anything outside of themselves, they see, oh, that is this thing that I am seeing. Yep, there's my, thing I'm looking at. And then they think about what they're going to do, and they think, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Everything is them. The whole world is about them. The universe revolves around them. Maybe we know some people that just think about themselves no matter what they do. They're, how does it relate to them?
Sorry. Finish.
Oh, so then on the other hand, then there are other people who have very, very small levels of self-grasping, so that, they are constantly, thinking about, helping others and, supporting others, and they're not really focused on themselves. So there is a great, spectrum of, large or small self-clinging.
얘는 양 잭리스. 다 잭모터 요 말이스 당지. 얘는 양 라와. 체중 요리 다 당지세야 잭모터 요 말이스 no true.
Check my toe.
벤 타기 코나게 다 셴바지 요레벨 라고 요로 당지.
Right. So then, ultimately, though, everyone who experiences a self, this occurs through self-clinging.
Okay.
So, Ali, did you?
I was wondering for the refuge practice, like if we're going to do a certain amount of accumulations, or if there's anything we should do to maybe start preparing for that, or if we could start working on that, or how that's going to work.
Right, so 테라와 다 가서 뒤 직파레스 가서 가상데 다 레퓨지 트기로와 다 냠냥 칸데 치고 와서 정말 트기로와 가 칸데 당 맞아 되고 이나야 다 가서 뒤그 투투로데 가상 트가나 이래 고든다 직 넣어와 든다 니마니데 라메냠도 참데 니마니데 니망아데 장소 라데스.
So, then, for the actual practice of what we do for, going for refuge, that will be explained in the refuge teachings. But then, what we can kind of think about is that for the practice of refuge and doing this kind of condensed, system that Drupon is teaching, there will be a 2-day retreat to practice with Drupon. And for, that's 2 days. And then the expectation is to go through this condensed, abbreviated system that you do another 5 days of retreat. So
스몰러.
So in that way, you can maybe prepare, that time or something like that to, fulfill that. Or is that answer that? Or do you have?
So it's more about spending the certain amount of days, because if I've been working on it for the last couple of years too, just here and there. And are you wanting us to just forget anything that we've already done and just start fresh and just do the 5 days?
Yes, that's a good question. So teri ta jatang ati ta thanang ga di ngondu chia di ta ko chik 참에 familiar 용야 치토라 되네 로기오레스와 얘는 양다 대가 나이 양고 직다다 this extensive 로치니야 pen refugee 로 100,000 포가 치네 되니 치리요나 고 대가 나 치는 되거레스
So that's a good question. You know, a lot of you have some familiarity with these different types of Ngundro teachings in elaborate ways. And so what Drupon is teaching is, you know, one set of teachings and kind of a condensed system. At the same time, there is also the more extensive way of practicing, where one accumulates, you know, 100,000 of each of the uncommon preliminaries, in this case, refuge. And so if you want to do that, that is also very good.
So if you're doing the Ngondo, you know, so focus, so then that's okay. So yes, you can receive the teachings, you know, but maybe if you really focus like 100,000, so then maybe 5 days is okay, you know, so no need, yeah. So of course, with 5 days, you can accumulation, you know, more easy to 100,000, you know, so, but if you're doing focus 100,000, then yeah, so you already have the requirements. Okay.
So I think Patty Stein?
Yes. So, Drupon, would you say that embarrassment or humiliation or possibly even clinging to regret would be a form of self-clinging?
So embarrassment or clinging to regret? Is that
Yeah,
self-clinging?
and feelings of humiliation.
Oh, humiliation.
Yeah.
Dahakos ngosa tang regret kars jupa tang humiliation or the mepa de ke sampa de la zimpa yuna de daxin rebe.
Kisi sab marmate di ko karse ko regret you na dangzi reves re
Pache semcho drabo kicho.
re tene dang this the karse regret himba semcho lo
Ngaso
Yeah.
chick drabo chena.
re that that thangbo di nam leksan ta chetan ti ko dispensary swa
So it depends.
yine yang ta zo ni de dangzi ji de ngas tene nga go do mi re ta nga ma to heda sam no me war wa sam de nge tela ta zo dangzi la gyo des.
So in this kind of context, you know, if we are really thinking I, me, and we have this, you know, looking at this situation from a selfish perspective, then it is, you know, self-clinging.
Yine yang da yang ko tis karse gore ta pena chik regret da tela chetan ko jik sanjo samno ta na regret da yo na o ngoma nge chi de tendigmen do samna ko ngasu gebe cho no cha no bro wa digi yores yine yang ko chik ta yang en digmen do cha cha samne di na yang ko sap clean do cha no res ben jurchu ta chi ti na regret diggerwa or da or that ngoma ten digimendo that and then the chigi lana ko positive sa chagres yine ya ta hware kyo ta ngen dig ma song nga ta chum me song ta tene do ja sam dina tene ya ko ya go ma des sa clinging part of channel go sa des in that ya tsaka he do
So then, really, it's, how we respond to the situation, changes the experience. For example, with regret, there's a positive, there can be positive qualities to have regret and remorse. If there is something that, we're not, proud of, that we regret, and this inspires us to then, think, okay, that didn't work well, that wasn't good. Now I'm going to grow beyond that and, work towards virtue. Then that is harnessing, that regret in that situation in a useful way, in a positive way. On the other hand, if we get stuck in regret and just feel, oh, I didn't do good, this is terrible, and then we don't, we just get stuck in, kind of feeling bad about our situation or ourselves, then it's not used in any positive way. And so, whether or not we use it in a positive way is up to us. Regret can be useful, though.
right but that technique concept they use for magina tene ko sa fi no chart series
So if we don't use it in a positive way, then it can create more suffering for us.
or the katerot safish Sorry.
It increases self-clinging. Excuse me.
yeah
There's a question online from Alicia. She asks, in regards to the murderers that you were speaking about, that is a karma?
The Seiken Yena Dene Leirbe.
lesa gyoris sena
So Ani Seiken Chana Le Mena Dene Chagamare. So
karsa
if you become a killer, then there is negative karma there. It was the question, how do you even become a killer?
I translated it from Spanish. It says, in regards to murderers that you were speaking about, is that a karma? That's the literal translation.
mesina
The le mena, nguna mena, dene pache mishanta segimare. De double?
yeah
So, in a way, it does take a certain type of karma that usually one would accumulate over some time to work up to such a negative activity as to kill others. Usually it doesn't,
right yeah also I'm not sure exactly but yeah if you karma but also the karma interesting the karma is the maybe long time their karma they create their result maybe become killer right kill the people or sometimes they said like we call this the certainly come out circumstance maybe not necessarily prove his karma so something there we call obstacles so something they can become the kill the people so that depends the both ways maybe they are the previous karma or maybe not so but who killed so then that's yes their karma negative karma yeah
Then Danny asks, what is the history of the Mani Drupshin, and how did the tradition arrive at the understanding that a 1-week Manidruption is equivalent to 1-year retreat.
Maybe you can answer what he said. So what's that, 1 year?
Samson the pigeon on the Drupchen, the Dundache ki Drupchen, the low dun ki Sam ki Penyon Jawud dus, the Guru Rimshe ki Song, the Nangshin Yore.
Usually so. Yeah, can be. But also depending this, some of the Yabo, perfect donut, then usually the motivation, everything, condition together, possible is.
The Sama, Damsik Sama,
Yeah.
So, there are some teachings in the old, texts that talk about Drupchen's great accomplishment practice, that say that if you practice a Drupchen for 1 week well with others, then it is the equivalent of 7 years of retreat, actually it says. However, for this to happen, the Drupchen practice needs to go really well. Your mind, individuals in the practice need to be, really good. Everybody needs to have, kind of good commitments and focus. And so, in theory, for the best, type of Drupchen practitioners, it can be that beneficial.
Right, sometimes you see this is also this interesting, 3-year retreat, 7-year retreat. So there is also this, not everybody, not same, So can be really focused, Maybe we know nothing compared to, anything. But some just maybe past the whatever 3 years, 7 years. But, there is not much focus, or I don't know. So those things, then, yeah. So maybe better in that is Drupchen. Okay.
Sorry, there was another question online. So we'll ask yours and then we'll go back to them.
I hate microphones. I'll do a lot of practice, and I won't be like fixating on myself, and then it like retracts back after practice, like ice block, really painful. Is that a me thing or is that like a normal thing?
Wait, what was
After
that?
practice?
What was that last part that you said?
Is that like normal? Is that like a me thing or is that like a normal?
No, but sometimes you'll do a lot of practice.
And then it like retracts like an ice block, and I'll be really self-fixated. Painful.
Okay, so sometimes you will practice and want to benefit others.
Yeah. And then after that,
But then the self-clinging comes back.
strong,
And
hard
so,
and fast. Yeah.
and then what's the question about that?
Is that normal? Is that a me thing or like a?
I think, yeah, I understand. So the that nyamle chi ne subclinging the nyamle chi ne subclinging hyochern rogu maris.
So Drupon is saying, after you practice, your self-clinging doesn't get extra strong.
Yinaya choranke ta nyamle chi bi jumsen tele dene nga subclinging dog samba understanding chagyorwa. Nyamle majina chechina subclinging kasi uno nga so haku maris.
So what's happening though is that because you are practicing, you are finally beginning to understand and be aware that you do have self-clinging. If we don't practice at all, we just go around and we can have limitless amounts of self-clinging and we don't know how much self-clinging we have at all. But when we practice, finally we start to see, oh, I have a lot of self-clinging.
Similar, meditate, right? So the meditate. So if meditate, then though we know you start meditation, then you know how mind is busy, But if no meditate, we can say, oh, your mind is very busy, but what is busy, you know? So maybe we can know nobody's practice, or you are really stop clinging, but no, I think more you stop clinging. I don't, you know, no stop clinging. But they don't recognize. That's true, so yeah. I don't think this is not increasing, but I think that's very good, you know that, you know. So. Also, this is the meditators, they said, if you know that mind is really busy, that's just kind of your first experience, you know. Then you focus, you know, so. But otherwise, before we don't know, you know, how much sub-clinging, how much mind is busy. Even they don't know at all. Okay.
Okay, and Naomi asks, how does the, I guess the question about killing relate to killing bugs? How does the question of one's past karma relate to the accidental or purposeful killing of bugs and small creatures in this life?
The first was the killing the 4 tiny amount of detergent tea or this.
So,
Also, we have this. Actually, we in the 4 tiny of the mind. So we have the details there. You know, these 10 virtues or 10 virtues. You know, the killing specific. So, however, the collapse.
the mune the bu segiore in a seki dupa yomare the sipa check
really.
something.
In that dikpa dela ko killing say ade ko da general main jiro name jiro. Ina yang da di ko dikpa chipa chaya yomares. Gulong condition tene chejung da at the level 항상 yoris.
So, in the previous teachings on karma, cause and effect, in the 4 thoughts that turn the mind, Drupon in this series has gone through the 10 virtues and the 10 non-virtues, and there are more detailed teachings about killing and what, you know, that negative action is.
You will read, you know, so that, yeah.
So you can read that and maybe go back to those teachings. But here, you know, of course, killing is, you know, a negative action, but, you know, in some ways, the word killing is this very general, broad term that encompasses all kinds of stuff. When we accidentally kill insects that we don't mean to, in general, that's not the same as killing. And so for a negative action, there is like the motivation, the conditions, you know, the time frame, whether or not we, you know, really kind of rejoice and are happy that we did it or not. And so there's all these different aspects of whether or not we really committed a true negative deed. And so that goes into play. You know, this is a very broad spectrum. You know, while somebody might kill an insect, for some it's hardly a negative action. They didn't mean to do it. But then for others, they might have really wanted to kill those bugs and were so happy that they like killed it. So it can be very, very different.
And also the animals, you know, we killed is different. So how much they're suffering, like more negative is like bigger cow, horses, elephants. Of course, the worst part is the negative is human being. So, of course, they have negatives, you know, inside, but the less, because the less suffering, the easy to die, you know, so. Mm-hmm.
That was the last question.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the teachings, Drupon. I just wanted to make an announcement about the Mani Druption coming up, if I may, that if you cannot attend all days, that's okay. You can still come when you have time during your work schedule or your family life. And also, Importantly, Drungyur Jing Chubling is hoping more people sign up for the nighttime shifts. So there are 3 different groups that carry out the activities overnight. And so if you are able to sign up for one or more of those shifts, that would be wonderful. I'm not entirely sure if we'll have the overnight shifts on Zoom this year, but we'll be discussing that. So thank you.
Right. Also, this if you coming far away, so if you sooner, then we can something figure out, So if you on, you get that's okay. But if you not, we can some housing thing, start to help. So.
Hello, quick question. We have several people who had just joined us today and just registered. So please make sure that they receive the text from the previous year's teachings. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so dedication.
Okay, turn to page 24. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drikungpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. And then to page 19. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Changchu Semcho Rinpoche Ma Ke Banam Ke Gyorje Ke Banyam Pa Me Bayam Gong
Thank you.